full battery good. Alright, full battery good. It's 7th of the 8th. It's 11:01 PM. We brought it over here this morning. We checked out 11:30 PM. 11:30 AM. We were very stressed, a bit moody, very stressed about things. Drove the gun to guy. Got the gun to guy somewhere around 2, I think. Stopped for a while, had some lunch. We hit the road again. Hit the road, Jack, don't you come. Well, we drove to Goulburn. Goulburn's like home. I love Goulburn. Goulburn's like home to me. And we drove a big drive. I've been enjoying my Guinness tonight. Actually, because there's a couple of things that I wanted to convey. I usually have my cup of tea, but I want and need my Guinness tonight. Now, I've been watching Black Sabbath documentary on YouTube tonight. I watched Black Sabbath live from 1970 in Paris. And then I watched a documentary on Sabotage. Now, in the observation of society in 2023, we are not heading for a corrupt society. We are in it. We are in the corruption. We're in the corruption. Everywhere are docile people. Everywhere are zombified people. People who can't calculate 2 and 2. People who can't put it together. People who are in their routines, who are completely unaware, totally oblivious. Narcissists. And if you fell over on the street, they wouldn't help you out. It's not everywhere, but it's a toxicity in society. It's now. It is now. It's not coming. It's not a prediction. It's now. We are in the downfall. Society is in the downfall. We're in the downfall of society. It's happened already. It's everywhere. It's inflation rates. It's the high cost of petrol. Petrol is as high as $2.20 a litre. The price of things. People who don't consider. People who are inconsiderate. People who are disrespectful. People who haven't got a clue. People on the roads. Rent prices. The price of meat. The price of a beer. Electricity rates. The congestion of society. People trying to get from point A to point B. Sydney is a city of congestion. The Sydney of yesteryear was a wonderful city. Sydney used to be wonderful. My dad told me about Sydney. Let me check my memory. My dad told me. I said to him once, which Sydney do you like? Which era? And he said, the 1950s were good. And I thought the 1990s were good. I'd love to go back to the 1980s and 1970s. It's now corrupt and beyond measure. And can it be saved? Very unlikely. There is too much development going on. There are like 10 cranes in the Sydney CBD by itself. 10 cranes. constant construction. Barricades at Martin Place. And on the barricades they got all the black and white photos of yesteryear of the 1800s and the 1900s, and they're terrific to look at. They're fascinating. But behind those are all the plans. The Clovermore has the plans, all the modern plans to make Sydney a very modern city. That's what they're doing. So they're taking away the spirit of Sydney. They're taking away the soul of Sydney. They've already taken it away. They succeeded in doing that a few years back now. And that abomination of I've spoken about all this before. The abomination of that fucking bullshit tram thing. It's not a tram thing. It's an abomination. That stupid thing going down. That stupid thing which goes from Town Hall to Circular Quay with big advertisements on the side. That's what 2023 is. Advertisements everywhere from companies trying to make money and seducing people and manipulating people and trying to make people think they need a particular product when they don't. Advertising is everywhere. Aggressive advertising, pushing products in people's faces, products that people don't need. Watch Fight Club. People slaving away at 9-to-5 jobs to pay mortgages, for houses that they can't uphold, for interest rates on mortgages which people have to work 7 days a week for, they can't afford, and then once they do pay their mortgage off, put someone in a unit and charge them 670 a week, 700 a week, 800 a week in Marrickville. When 3 years ago it was 350 a week, 320 a week to live in Marrickville. In the 1990s you could live in Helston Park. In the 1990s you could live in Helston Park or Canterbury or Dulwich for about $190 a week. So I remember back in 2010 I was paying about $140 a week. I think in Petersham I was paying $160 a week for internet. This is the corruption. This is it now. With all the iPhones and all the bullshit apps, download an app to your phone and get everything at the fingertip touch. And some of that stuff, some of it is a convenience, but it's a laziness. People with their necks down on your phone, doing your app, touching your app, and these delivery drivers, let me check the memory. The delivery drivers are a pest in society. People have become lazy. People don't want to do things anymore. People don't want to go out and get their food anymore. They want to press on an app, press on the menu, there's a surcharge involved, goes through your credit card, and then the restaurant or the food outlet, they organise the food, and the Pakistan Indian drivers turn up and collect the food, and they're awful on the roads. They have no clue of the road rules there, and they're a danger to society because they do not they don't have an etiquette on the road. There's nothing without etiquette. They're very dangerous, and they're a pest. It's not actually their fault though. It's the population's fault. It's the people who are indulged. People have become very lazy. They click the app because they can't be fucking bothered to go out and collect it from the restaurant, the food outlet like they used to do. just to go and collect it from the food outlet. And now they've become lazy bastards. Big companies, paying advertising companies to promote their product, a product which people don't need, and then it's so infuriating because so many people are zombified by this. They get caught up in it, especially in Sydney and all the other suburbs of Sydney. Then beyond that too, people are glued to their phones. That's all they do. They barely look up. We're in it. We're in the corruption. Yesteryear, it could somehow be preserved. It's a sad state of affairs. Jackson, if you're listening to this, 2023 is corrupt. It started in 2016. Now it's full bloom. It's all full bloom. People heads down on their phones. They're clicking up to an artificial. It's people have just. It's a zombie nation. Clueless people don't think anymore. I think about 5% of the population actually think for themselves and question things and question religion and say, hey, is this okay? Is this working for me? Is this not working for me? What's going on? But it's a very small percentage of the population that's doing that. When I was 17, well, back in about, back in summer in about 1991, I thought, yeah, maybe the future will be okay, maybe it'll be good, I think maybe the future will be really interesting, it'll be cool. When did I wake up to maybe that wasn't going to be that way? Somewhere around 1998, before the world changed. And yeah, and further on we proceeded. The downfall started. And the early zeros, the early 2000s was still okay. But 2010, people started to question things and feel the change coming on. The change that was happening in the city and in the outer suburbs and in the nation and in the world. This is an international thing. It's affected Europe and it's affected America and the Asian continents. And it went full throttle in 2016, and mainly to do with the iPhone, and to do with infrastructure and councils spending billions on infrastructure and transportation, things that we don't need. What we do need was more hospitals, things spent on practicality and not nonsense ideas. Rail systems we don't need. Underground rail systems we don't need, especially in Sydney. We don't need them. We've never needed them. What we do need is animal bypasses on the major highways and trains on stilts from Sydney to Canberra to Melbourne, trains on huge stilts. There's a lot of roadkill. And there's a lot wrong with society. Everything is wrong. Everything is wrong with society. Society's lost its way. The 70s were great. The 80s were fantastic. The 90s were great. And then, beginning of the zeros, right? Beginning of zeros, right? Beginning of the zeros. 2016, the corruption started. That's when the corruption started in 2016. Yeah. Good night, Charlie, man, Patrick.